was in 2007 that I went to see him. And I just was totally taken because he read my pulse and he gave me my whole history, which just totally boggled my mind. How he knew everything about me just by reading my pulse. And then I was supposed to have dental surgery the following day, but he gave me some medicine, and within I took that medication overnight, my dental problem was gone. And I thought, my God, this is a miracle man. And ever since then, I just kept seeing him. So I've been watching him for I've been seeing him for more than 10, 12 years. He always made me feel so good when I saw him. He just boosted my morale. I mean, he didn't say that much, but his personality was just so energizing and so mesmerizing that he just won me over. And I always grew up with ancient healings, Ayurvedic medicines, but I never met a doctor who could read the pulse and give you your whole history. So
yeah, I
that's
remember
why I used to
the
follow
first
him
time you
all the
came,
time.
Indrani. I remember the first time you came, you actually were in a wheelchair. And then when I interviewed you, you talked about your joy about being at a wedding and dancing more than young people. People half your age couldn't keep up with you. And I really thought,
Well,
what
yeah,
a
when you first
beautiful
saw me,
miracle.
actually my problem was so bad, and you're right, I was going around, hopping around with canes. That was a couple of years into my meeting him, but with this medication I avoided any surgery for like 10, 12 years. And I remember first time I started taking his arthritis medication, I went for an event and I danced away for 2 hours. I couldn't believe, no one could believe that I could do that with my kind of knee I had.
Yeah.
So
So it's
it,
powerful when you get clear on what you want. So thank you, Indrani. All right, I'm going to ask you to mute yourself just for a moment, and we'll have you speak in the group in a little bit. I want to thank everyone so much for joining. My heart is just open so big as I'm looking all the faces of people from all over the world, looking at in the chat box and people joining. Now we have about 176 people live on the Zoom call, with many more people watching live on the Facebook group. And we have over 1,200 people participating in this global healing miracle experiment with us. I believe this is the first time in the history of planet Earth that this experience is happening. And I'm so excited about the secrets that we're going to share on this call today, and the power of when you apply these simple ancient secrets in your life, what's possible. It opens up a whole new realm. I started out as a big skeptic. Like, even the subtitle of the book, Ancient Secrets of a Master Healer, is a Western skeptic. I asked all the hard questions and really went into depth on what's real. And the next line is an Eastern master and life's greatest secrets. Now I'm so excited because now is the time more than ever for these secrets to come into your life. And it is an experiment, because I don't know what's going to happen on a global scale. I don't know, but I'm hopeful that what happens for you individually, which I'm confident if you apply these secrets, even we're going to share 3 secrets that are the foundation for this experiment today. When you apply these secrets, it'll change your experience of life completely. Many people who participated in the 30 days with us said that it wasn't just about experiencing miracles, it changed their whole being. And so I'm very, very confident that this can happen for you. And my big curiosity is what will happen on a global scale when we're doing this together for the first time. So I want to start out with a little drop into our hearts. So we don't get to miracle mindedness by just being in our heads and trying to figure stuff out logically. We get there by more centering in our heart. And so I asked actually Gary Malkin, he's my longtime friend, and he's the one that founded Wisdom of the World Wellness with me. He's a 7-time Emmy Award-winning composer and producer. Asked him to start off by sharing with us a musical experience which can drop us into our hearts so we're prepared to receive what's about to happen today on this the first week's call of the Global Healing Miracle Experiment. So I'm going to go to Gary right now if I can. Let's see here, Gary. Can you unmute yourself, Gary? Let's see if we can get you here. All right.
Okay.
All right, super. Just 1 second here. Gary, are you able to unmute yourself? All right, if he's not able to unmute himself, then we're going to start into the experience, but I'm hoping he's going to be able to unmute himself here. For those who are just joining this, go ahead and put in the chat box, where are you joining from in the world? Where are you joining from in the world? And it's so fun to see all of the people coming from everywhere. Literally, I don't know, I haven't counted. Oh, super. Oh, there we can hear you, Gare. Fantastic.
All right, so I'm just gonna. So everybody, hello.
Good morning.
So just allow this music, allow the presence of music to drop you into your heart. And just get to see the beauty of every person. I can do this, I don't know why I can't have control, but let's just let the music take its course with us. Can't do it. So just have to listen to the music. Seeing each person's beauty. Just allow the music to just drop you into the present moment. Since I can't do it, go up to the right corner of any square that interests you and just pin their video so you can see their beautiful faces, the faces of humanity. Beauty of us.
I cannot hear anything.
I can't either.
Oh, beautiful. So beautiful. Can you hear me? Are you able to hear me right now? Yeah, okay, super. Gary, do you want to unmute yourself and just share any final thoughts about that piece of music and that experience we just had, and also unshare your screen?
I did unshare. I did unshare.
Beautiful. We can see you now.
There we go. Hi, everybody. I am so privileged to be a deep and close ally and partner and friend to Clint. Clint has blessed my life, and I've watched this evolutionary process. In fact, in some indirect way, I think he might not have met Dr. Naram without me playing a small role 10, 11 years ago. But I want to say that the blessing that I've had of watching Clint's evolution through this whole process with Dr. Naram and my own experience with Dr. Naram doing the Panchakarma month, I want to say that this is a time when extraordinary times require extraordinary measures, and letting go of traditional ways of thinking about things and opening to the possibility that miracles are happening constantly around us. And one of the things I love about Clint is that he loves the power of music, and he's been a supporter of my work, bringing music and wisdom to every corner of the planet. And so you guys can learn more about that by going to wisdomoftheworld.com. But just allow music in your life to develop a deeper relationship with your capacity to be in the present moment. And because when you think about it, the present moment is the moment when there is never any problem. In the present moment, we get a chance to bring online our heart, our bodies, our minds, our souls, and the full intelligence of our capacity as these miraculous human beings we are. To allow music, don't forget to let music drop you into the present moment, and that's the place where miracles happen. And I thank you for letting me share that moment. I'm sorry I had technical problems. Thank you.
Gary, it was cutting out a little bit. Can you hear me right now?
I can.
Oh, super. So you continue that and finish up this beautiful thought you're sharing.
Oh, I thought I did. So
Okay.
all right. So just what I said was, for those of you who didn't hear, that don't forget around the power of music, especially music to slow us down. That's a lot of the music that I've been focusing on creating in the last number of years, is music to drop us into the present moment. And in that present moment, we gives us a chance for our body's intelligence, our heart intelligence, our soul intelligence, our mind intelligence. These are the five intelligences: body, mind, heart, spirit, and soul. And bring music in as a way to drop you in to the place from where musicals derive. And I just want to thank Clint for giving me the opportunity to be an ally and a partner in this miracle experience. And I just bless you on your journey and look forward to seeing what unfolds. Thanks, Clint.
Beautiful. And I know lots of people, several people were asking, what is that music? And it's from his album, Unspeakable Grace. Well,
Or
now,
graceful passages is what it's really called. But yeah, both.
Okay, beautiful. Now, if you're if you have your speaker on, if you could mute yourself, would be great. So we can continue through this. So for instance, if I see your screen open, it just means I'm just going to ask you to mute yourself, because my capacity to do that is a little frozen at the moment. Okay, so thank you so much, Gary. Thank you for sharing that beautiful piece with us. And thank you, everyone, for dropping into this moment in time, this very, very exciting moment in the history of the planet, I would say. So there's a reason why your heart and your soul called you here. There's some connection that you have, maybe from the past, maybe something from the future, but some reason that you're here right now. And on this call, in this time we're together, you're going to learn some of the secrets that Dr. Naram taught me, some ancient secrets, where if you apply, it's inevitable that you're gonna see more miracles happen in your life. And not only that, but we're doing an experiment. This is the first time in the history of the world this many of us are doing this together. So what's possible on a global scale, I'm excited to find out. I wanna just say that what Gary was saying, that miracles are real and they're happening all the time. I wanna actually go to someone that just posted a video today, or actually last night for you, but today for me, that gives an example of this, someone that was on the leadership team. Aaron, would you be willing to unmute yourself and share a little bit about what your experience was just from the beginning part of this global healing miracle experiment?
Sure, absolutely. So, hey, everybody. So I had we had the leadership call, and the call was about one of the things that really stuck out to me was about how we're not trying to teach anybody anything, but we are just trying to lead from love. And so right after the call, I was thinking about that. That was really strong for me. And I opened up my computer and I was going to do some blind journaling. And I asked my divine feminine. I said, what is love? What does it look like to lead from love? And at that exact moment, I get a phone call from a woman who I used to work for, who's a very divine feminine, literally at that exact moment. And she says, hi, we need you. Will you come back and work with us? Can we send you some PayPal money right now? I mean, literally just a total miracle, not expected. Within 5 minutes, I had money in my PayPal account. And this woman came and said, hey, we need you. Can you help us, please? And then that's how the day started. A little bit later that day, I had a phone call and a video chat with my first love, literally this woman who changed my life, my girlfriend from college, that I had not spoken to in 17 years. I kid you not, it's been 17 years since I've seen this woman and we've spoken. And that happened later that day after I get this call. And then that was followed up immediately by an interview that I was, somebody had interviewed me for my first video podcast, which is followed up immediately after that by a man who's this massive change maker in the world, involved in some incredibly big and benevolent projects that I had never spoken to before, but we had been connected. We had our first conversation, spoke for 2 hours, this incredible kinship. And he actually told me, which was fitting, he's working on projects of bringing together people, which I didn't tell you, Clint. He's working on a project that's bringing together different groups that are working on global unity, which is which is exactly what is happening right here. And a lot of the work that he does is in India, and wants to help to bring me on to help him to grow what he is doing. And then, after the day was over, I just sort of thought, wow, this was an unbelievable day. And it all started with the leadership call, with the prompt of, how do we have miracles in our lives if we just lead from love? And it started not by me trying to teach anybody anything, but me asking. I asked my divine feminine, what does love look like? And then that's the day that unfolded. That was like 2 days ago. It was just unbelievable.
Amazing. So this is reality. This happened. Even when I was watching your video, Aaron, I was just laughing like blissfully, like a kid. I was just so happy because what you're experiencing now is what so many of us were experiencing in this 30-day experiment we just got out of. From applying these 3 secrets, it like launched us into this almost like an alternative experience of the same reality, but it's like seeing things so differently. And it's like, hard to explain, but it made me so happy. And it made me feel like, oh, this experience, I'm so confident that everyone who applies this, there's secrets, not because they're so complicated that's only some yogis or some gurus in the mountains of the Himalayas can apply them. They're secrets because they're so simple that most people wouldn't even think to do it. So like your beautiful example, Aaron, I'm just inviting everyone on this call, when you learn these secrets, do the experiment properly, implement it in your life, and see what's a possibility that maybe you never imagined was possible before. So now, thank you so much. I want to go to someone who has had a very real experience. So talking about miracles of healing and love, Aaron just had a day full of them. And it's like mystical because you can't really plan or predict a lot of what's going to happen. But it's like things will be orchestrated for your behalf and for your own healing. And we're going to talk about those specific secrets on this call that will help that to happen. But I want to go now to Grant. On the leadership call, also Grant shared his experience of healing that really ties in what's possible for us together. Grant, do you want to unmute yourself and just share briefly your story?
Hey, Clint, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Well, I guess my story is I always just wanted to make the world a better place. So I grew up wanting to become a doctor. I just wanted to help people to heal. And that was until my sophomore year of college when I got sick with West Nile encephalitis, which is a disease that caused massive inflammation to my brain and my nervous system, causing me to have seizures 2 to 3 times a week. I was in and out of the hospital. The doctors told me that there's no cure for the illness itself. They could only treat it with, the symptoms with medication, which my body quickly became addicted to. After 2.5 years of running around of unsuccessful treatment, they told me, Grant, there's simply nothing more that we can do for you. We tried everything. You just have to learn to live the best of your life with this handicap. And I just didn't accept that answer. I refused to believe that my life would just be cut short from something external of myself. And that's when I really started looking into alternative medicine, holistic healing. Clint, your book would have been perfect for me at that moment. But what really happened was I really started being more aware of myself. I started being aware of my thoughts and my emotions and my patterns in life. And I just remember one night I was praying, and I remember seeing myself as a fragment of energy and seeing other people as fragments as well. We were all connected to this collective whole, just this big ball of infinite energy. And I just remember praying, and I was saying, God, my life's not about me. It's not about my individual fragment. It's about all of us. It's about all of us as a collective. And I remember just saying how, I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust my free will. My ego would get in the way. So I said, God, let me just adopt your will. I just want to do whatever I can to make the world a better place. And I remember offering, I was like, even if that means sacrificing my life, I'd be willing to do it if it made the world a better place. And I said that, but I'm like, well, did I mean it? Would I really truly want to sacrifice myself? Anybody can say, oh, I take a bullet for you. But when someone's about to pull the trigger, would they actually jump out in front? So I wanted to know if I truly, really would. So I kind of readjusted myself, quieted my mind, searched deep within myself. And when I connected to the most innermost part of me and I asked myself, would I be willing to sacrifice myself? And I said, yes. It was in a snap. It was like an energetic shift within me and all around me. And I no longer identified myself just as that individual fragment, but I identified myself as that collective whole, because I understood that within us, the energy that powers me is the same energy in which everyone and everything is connected to. The entire universe and beyond is within me. And by tapping into that power, by connecting into that, I was physically, mentally, and emotionally healed. And since that day, I've had no problems from my West Nile. I haven't had a seizure since 2015. And now my goal is to help other people make that same connection within themselves so that they can heal, whether it's cancer, diabetes, COVID-19, anxiety, abuse, trauma, depression, whatever it is. If we connect to the power that's within us, we can overcome any afflictions in our lives.
Oh, so beautiful. Grant, thank you so much for sharing.
No problem.
The reason why I love so much your share is because so much more is possible than in a certain frame of thinking. Like my Western skeptic mindset, a certain frame of thinking only allows for a certain set of possibilities. But when you start to hear story after story after story of people having real, what looks to us like a miracle of healing. And then all of a sudden it unlocks a different part of your brain. And what I love about Dr. Naram, he says it's a science. It's an ancient science. And when you follow these principles, it's inevitable that things that look like miracles are going to happen in your life. And so for any one individual to experience that is a beautiful, amazing experience. And now what can happen as we're all collectively doing this together? So that's why I get super excited. So I want to go now real quick to Randy. Randy shared something else on the leadership call I thought was valuable. I asked him, why did you join this experience? And let's see if we can hear you today, Randy.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Yes?
Yep, beautiful. We can hear you.
Okay. First, I'd like to say thanks to Grant for sharing his stuff, and it goes along with what you said, Clint, earlier about everything is a whole, and we all are on this conference call. It's not coincidence. It's because we are meant to be here and participating together. What Clint wanted me to basically say about something I experienced in my early spiritual path was in the mid 70s, Maharishi from Transcendental Meditation did an experiment in both in 1974 and 1978 and beyond. But what it was organizing a group meditation around the world at the same time, and in another one, it was every hour as the time changed around the world. And it's actually called the Maharishi effect. And what it did was, what they monitored was that crime rates went down in all the cities that were participating with an over 1%. This is being documented still as we go down, that the crime rate and it just went down around the world. And there was somebody else did a study about harmonics in the atmosphere and things, and they noticed the harmonics reached a certain frequency of that was very different from normal. So I know this stuff works because I was part of that experiment. And what you're trying to do, Clint, is exactly this on another scale. I've always been a fan of alternate medicine, so that's been my exploration, and that's how I found Dr. Naram through you on a TEDx call, I guess. And I became interested a couple of years ago on it and started following him. So I'm pleased to be involved with this, and thank you everybody for participating in this. That's it.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. So beautiful, Randy. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Grant. Thank you, Aaron. So now today on this call, this kind of a possibility to have deep healing and to see it happen on not only an individual level, but on a global scale is exciting to me. And so now is the part of the call where I'm going to share some parts of the book. I mean, actually, it's kind of like story time. Remember when your mom and your dad would read to you a story? I'm actually, on the intro call, I shared part of chapter 1. So right now I'm going to share part of chapter 2, and it's going to reveal one of the main secrets through which we'll apply in our lives throughout this 6-week process to see what happens, to see what kind of a change in our state of being occurs. So I'm going to open up the book to chapter 2 here. Also, I just want to say that for those of you who want to do some advanced reading of the book before it's published soon, you can send me a private message and I'll let you know how I can at least send you the first chapter in the introduction. Okay, so this is chapter 2, and you can see that the title of the chapter is 95% of people don't know this most important thing about themselves. And then it starts off with this quote by Woody Allen: "If you want to make God laugh, tell him about your plans." Okay. Los Angeles, California. Have you ever met someone who would end up changing your whole life completely, only you didn't realize it until much later? Back in the fall of 2009, I was working in Finland as a university researcher. During my free time, I was volunteering with an organization based in San Francisco called Wisdom of the World. The project, called 10 Days to Touch 10 Million, was working to spread inspirational messages during the holidays to help decrease depression and suicide. To help capture attention, we created a series of interviews with famous people that we could promote each day of the event. One of my roles was to contact and help interview celebrities. So after looking at a list of the stars, athletes, and other potential interviews that we'd compiled, my brother Gerald told me that I needed to talk to one person. Her name is Gail Kingsbury. Apparently, she was coordinating an event at an upscale hotel in Hollywood. He said lots of famous people would be attending, and the only way I could gain access was if I volunteered. So that's what I did. Dressed in a red short-sleeved shirt and dark jeans, I felt out of place in the fancy hotel, but was instantly comfortable with Gail. She was an efficient event organizer, but also a heart-centered person. During a break in our activities while standing in the hallway, I told her that my primary motivation in volunteering was to meet her and ask for her assistance. Our project touched her, and she said she would help. When I handed her our list of the various movie stars, sports celebrities, and musicians we planned to interview, she looked at it, then paused for a long time. I'm feeling into the goal of your project and sensing that most of the people on your list aren't really who you want. Lots are not who they seem to be, and they may not match your message, she said, pausing again briefly. You know who I would suggest? Who? I asked. You should really interview Dr. Naram. Who is that? He's a master healer from India whose patients include people like Mother Teresa and the Dalai Lama. And today he has a clinic at the same hotel. A master healer? That wasn't who we had in mind. I was about to ask her if she'd consider introducing me to anyone else. Just then, Gail's eyes focused on someone behind me. Amazing. Here he is, she said. I turned around to see an Indian man in a unique white suit and a woman with a long, decorative, ethnic-looking jacket walking our direction. I smiled to myself, thinking that I was not the only one who looked out of place here. Dr. Naram, this is Clint, Gail said as they approached us. Dr. Naram, you need to hear about the project Clint is doing with Wisdom of the World. Maybe you can give an interview if you have time. Dr. Naram turned and looked at me, and then I have this picture. Most of you already know what Dr. Naram looks like. Dr. Naram turned and looked at me. He stood about 5 feet, 1 inch tall, a foot shorter than me. He wore a white Nero-style suit and had jet black hair with just a wisp of silver in the front and a clean-cut mustache. He looked young, but what caught my interest were his attentive eyes and his energetic, endearing conversational style. Very pleased to meet you, he said warmly. What is Wisdom of the World? I told Dr. Naram about the founder, my friend, Gary Malkin, an award-winning musician who had a passion for connecting people with the best things that exist in the world and within themselves. One of Gary's gifts is creating moments of awe and inspiration through music-infused media to help people remember what matters most, which we just had an experience of. It was so fun. I explained that we were doing a special project for the holidays. What do you want? He asked me. And that's the question for the first week since the introductory call that he's been asking you and all of us. What do you want? What do you want? And on your journal, your assignment was first challenge assignment was to identify, what do you want? We'll talk about that in a little bit, answer some questions and hear what some people have discovered. Even from that activity alone, some people have had amazing experience. So what do you want? He asked me. His voice was disarmingly sincere. His inquisitive dark brown eyes gently focused on my tired and somewhat jaded blue-green ones. My response surprised me. I had a sister, I began. She took her own life. It was one of the most difficult things I've ever faced, to lose her. This was not something I usually opened up to people about, and certainly not to someone I just met. As I spoke about her, I felt the pain of losing her again. I want to do something to help others in the same situation as my sister. I want to help bring more peace to this planet. I see. How can I help? He asked with genuine interest. We're doing interviews with remarkable people who might have a message of hope or inspiration. Gail told me that one of the interviews should be with you. Dr. Naram was leaving the following morning for the next city on his tour, so we arranged to record the interview that night at the hotel after his clinic finished. Having set that time and place, Dr. Naram reached into his pocket of his white jacket and brought something out. this is for you, a gift blessed by a great master who's more than 147 years old. You're doing a great work. His dark hand, adorned with several significant looking rings, was in stark contrast to the bright white sleeve of his jacket. In his hand was a shiny ring with an inscription written in what looked like Sanskrit. With no idea what to make of his claim that someone was 147 years old, I thanked him for the gift. Then Dr. Ram continued down the hall, and I put the ring in my pocket. Okay, so that is how I met Dr. Naram. Now I'm excited because on this call right now is someone that I've reconnected with recently. I've been in connection with over the years periodically, but actually Gail Kingsbury is on this call right now, and I want her to describe how she met Dr. Naram and what happened in that moment. So Gail, can you unmute yourself?
Hi.
So fun that you're on this call, Gail. Makes me so happy.
It's so nice to be here. What an amazing group.
Yeah, such an amazing group. Such an amazing group. Can you share, how did you meet Dr. Naram? And what was it about your experience with him that touched your heart?
Well, there's a lot of things, but Harv, I did a lot of work with Harv Eker, and we decided to create an event called Extreme Health. And Harv is the one who told me, he's like, you have to find this guy and he has to be here. See if Naram will come. And he'd only met him once a long, long time before that. And so I literally like researched it down.
For those who don't know who T. Harv Eker is, T. Harv Eker, he's he's globally known, but maybe people here might not know who he is. Mm-hmm. But he wrote a book called The Millionaire Mind, and he did a whole series of incredible events, changed so many people's lives. And so he told you to find Dr. Naram. He
did, and it was one of his events that you were volunteering at. Wow. And it was Extreme Health, actually. That was the event. So we had this event, and I got a hold of him, and he wasn't going to come, and I was talking to his assistant and convinced them that it was the best place that he'd be able to have a clinic, he'd be able to speak, and he wanted to meet Harv, and he wanted to meet a lot of the other people that were there. So he came, and when he got there, we just had we had this instant connection. He was just this ball of light, so happy, so generous, and that's how we met. We went on to, I was always so busy at the events that I sent everybody to see him and never went myself. So finally he's like, Gail, you have to sit down. And he read my pulse, and he told me what was going on, and told me I needed to come to India, and I needed to come for 5 weeks and go to his clinic for 5 weeks. And I thought, okay, you crazy little man, I love you, but I'm not coming to India for 5 weeks. I can barely find time to go to the bathroom. How am I going to take 5 weeks off and go to India? And so he came back at the next event the next year, and we were always in touch, on Skype and whatever. And he came back and he read it again, and he said, listen, and he wouldn't tell me what was going on. He just told me that I had to go. And I the same thing. I was like, okay, someday I'll find time to go to India. And he said, no, you come as my guest. You stay in my home. I'm going to take care of you. And I said, okay, whatever. And I thought, oh, I'm not going to go. I can't go. And a couple months later, I got on a plane. And that same thing that they say every time when you get on the plane, that I've heard a gazillion times of put your own mask on first, so that then you can help other people.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, so I went home and made a flight arrangement and left for India.
Wow.
Yep. And I stayed with him for a month. Couldn't make the whole 5 weeks, but I stayed for a month. Stopped eating meat. I was in the clinic every day. And when I wasn't in the clinic, we went on these amazing adventures. And actually, he had this outfit made for me. Sorry. I was there during the Raksha Bandhan, and tied him as my brother. And we looked for tigers, and we had amazing adventures. And he really changed my life and the life of my children. It's been almost 10 years since I was there. I bet I've been sick 3 days since I left India. You know, I've been the healthiest I've ever been. You know, my kids call him Uncle Naram. He's come to our house. I love how he was always such a voracious learner. You know, while he's taking care of everyone on the planet that he possibly could, including all the stray dogs in the middle of the night, right? When we were in India, it was the middle of the night. It's like, let's go for a drive. And we go out to find the stray dogs and feed them, because he needed to take care of them too. You know, and I had a driver that took me to the clinic every day, but there was always biscuits in the car. And he told me, when you come, the only thing to bring is chocolate from Trader Joe's. So I brought like half a suitcase full of these little chocolate bars to give out, because it made all these, you know, the street kids happy. And I wasn't supposed to do that from the car. We were only supposed to give biscuits and no money. You know all about this, Clint. It's like, you can give them biscuits, you can give them food, you can't give them money because it goes somewhere else. And we were stopped at this intersection, and the kids were, you know, begging at the window. And I had a couple of chocolate bars, and so I gave the chocolate bars out. And this little boy screams, "Chocolate!" And the car was like, whoosh. Everybody was begging for these chocolate bars. It was crazy. And he just laughed. He's like, I told you not to do that. Give them biscuits. And he laughed and laughed at me. I'm like, but I had to give them chocolate. They wanted chocolate. And yeah, I watched so many things in that clinic during the time that I was there. The people, you know, there was a little boy who couldn't walk. And by the time he was done with him, that little boy, do you have the video of that, Clint? From this little boy, he hadn't walked in like 3 years, and he did Marma. So Pankaj did Marma on him. He did a couple of other things, and he treated him once before, and they came back because he was doing better. And this little boy walked across the room.
Yeah.
And he hadn't walked in years. And, you know, I mean, that was just one of them. You saw, you know, many, many miracles like that from his work. So.
Gail, you're getting so much love. I'm reading the chats, and people are talking about Dr. Naram's light is shining through you right now. So much love from people literally all over the world that are watching this live here on Zoom and on Facebook. And thank you. You changed our lives in this moment, and you changed my life 10 years ago by introducing me to Dr. Naram. I had no idea where that would lead to, but that one intuition of yours not only helped me, but now, you know, millions of people that have watched the TEDx talk. And, you know, believe it or not, in the entire 10 years, what I'm most excited about is what's happening right now, in this moment, in this group. And so thank you for sharing your heart. And I'm so glad you brought up about the dogs. So now I want to read a little section about what is that philosophy. So he says, Dr. Ram says it's a school of thought. He says he's not a guru and looking for followers. He says that was never his intention, and he never wanted that. He said he could be that, but that's not his dharma. It's not his path. His path was something else. It's a school of thought in which any student can become the master. And all you have to do is learn. He says, I can't teach anyone anything, but people can learn. And so through this book, people are going to learn these secrets. And I'm going to read to you one of them right now that applied directly to what Gail was talking about. So is it okay if I read that now, Gail?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. So this is the little section here. Actually, in the book, all throughout, there's little like journal notes where you can actually see Marma points to press. She shared a story about that. There's home remedies that you can actually implement right away for different things. And then there's the philosophy or the principles behind it. So in this 6-week experiment, we're focusing on that philosophy because it gets to the core. This is my first interview with Dr. Naram. I had just asked him a lot of questions, but really it wasn't making sense in my mind what he was talking about. I loved his being, but I didn't understand even a lot of the vocabulary. And he had mentioned that he had mentioned this. He had said this, actually. He says, the most important thing to know for anyone is who you are, where you are going, and what can help you to get there. Dr. Ram continued, my master taught me that God is within each of us, and we all have a purpose to discover. But you can't see or feel that when you're depressed. One way to begin to come out of it is by doing the same things I gave to that man and girl. So that's related to I haven't read that part of the book, but this is the question I asked him. Okay, so you want to pay close attention, everybody, to this part, because this is going to form a basis for this next 6 weeks of our lives and can literally change your life forever. So I asked him, what do you mean by God is within each of us? In India, we have a concept for when an unexpected guest comes to visit your home. It's called Atiti Devo Bhava, which means you treat any guest, whoever it is, and as inconvenient as their visit may be, as if God himself has come to visit your home. In my healing lineage of Siddha Veda, we take that very much to heart. So you believe anytime you meet someone, you're meeting God? I asked. In India, we greet people by saying namaste and pressing our hands together in front of our hearts. It means the divine God or goddess in me bows to the divine God or goddess in you. And I honor that place where you and I are one. So Siddha Veda is a religion? I asked. Siddha Veda can help people spiritually, physically, mentally, and emotionally, but it is not a religion. It's a school of thought that anyone can benefit from. These ancient healing secrets are beyond religion, beyond politics, beyond race, caste, or creed. They work for everyone universally. Just like you get in a car and it will take you where you need to go, regardless of your religion, the color of your skin, or your sexual orientation. Those in my lineage are super specialists, trained by a great line of masters in the ancient secrets to help anyone who is experiencing pain or disease in the body, mind, or emotions to release it. When a person comes to us seeking help, we see the God in them. We do not feel like we're obliging them, but we feel like they are giving us a gift. We're honored they came to us. My master taught me that my duty as a healer is simply to help clean the temple and to make the God in them happy. Okay, so this is the number one thing we're going to be applying for this 6 weeks is this concept called Atiti Devo Bhava, which is to treat the unexpected guest that comes into your life as if it's God or goddess, as if it's the divine. You see the divine in them and actually helps you see the divine more in you. Gail mentioned that Dr. Naram always had biscuits in his car. Like he was loving, beautiful, kind. The only times I saw him upset was if there was no biscuits in the car. He would really make sure that people knew that is not acceptable, because all the time in India, there's street dogs coming, or there's homeless children coming, or anyone coming. He always wanted to have something to give them. I know many of you have seen, actually, you can go ahead and raise your hand if you saw the video of me with that miracle dog that showed up, Miracle Milo or Bhairava. So many of you have seen this. That's actually, he's right here now, or just kind of conked out on the floor because we went for a long walk. But the miracle of having him appear is what's triggered this thought that Dr. Ram wanted me to remember this. And by doing that Facebook Live, and I saw how much healing came from it, something started stirring in me. I started remembering these secrets, that he would always treat every animal, he'd pay attention, treat it with such love. Anyone that came, he'd treat it as if the divine was coming to him. And I thought, what if I actually apply that? What if I live that completely? So Dr. Ram said you should feed cows, you should feed dogs, you should feed crows. I says, what if I actually live that? What would happen? And as I did, such mystical things started happening. I'm like, holy smokes, this is a real, I thought he was just being like a nice, like I thought it was some quirky thing he was doing, you know, but it's actually tied to somehow it's tied to a universal principle of the universe, that when you start living this principle, you cannot help but see more mystical miracles of love and healing happen in your life. So the very number one rule of this game that we're playing for the 6 weeks, this experiment, is to really internalize this. And sometimes the unexpected guest may be an emotion. Maybe it's a person that annoys you. Maybe it's your child that wants your attention and you're focused on something else. Maybe it's an ex-spouse, you know, that comes back into your life. I love Aaron's story at the beginning about someone that he dated, hadn't talked to for 17 years. And mystical stuff like this is going to happen, where you can have an experience of divinity and see more of the divine in you. When you live this principle, things start to happen. In the 30 days we just had with that group of 250 people, crazy stuff happened. Like, I haven't seen any snakes here since this one particular experience. During that 30 days, 1 week alone, I saw 4 or 5 snakes. And I'm like, what is happening? And I looked up the meaning of snakes, and it talked about awakening the Shakti power in you, the Kundalini Shakti power in you. And it says, no more time to wait. It's time to stand in that power. I was like, whoa. And it was just happening right at the moment where I was having a whole bunch of challenging, difficult conversations, but it gave me that confidence. Another thing, Krishna, he actually gave me a special mantra that's based on a concept called Hanuman. And as soon as I started doing this mantra, I've lived in this area for 10 years on and off. I'd never seen any monkeys in this area. The morning after I started this mantra, Hanuman is known as the deity, the monkey deity, about being playful and protector and removing obstacles. The morning after that, I was doing yoga right here, and I looked out the window, and all of a sudden there was like 3 or 4 monkeys that just came running past. Okay, so these are the fun experiences. But also at the same time, I was laying in my bed on the first night of this whole experiment. I just was poured out my heart to the people. And then that night I laid my head on the pillow, and this rat scurried past my head, like brushed my hair. I was like, oh, I don't want, like my tension about, and I was like, my instinct was like to be defensive and aggressive and not sure what to do with this rat that found its way on my bed. And then I remembered, oh no, Atiti Devo Bhava, if I'm actually going to play this game, it can't just be about the nice animals. It has to be about everything. So then I thought, okay, if I'm really going to apply this principle, what does it mean in this moment? So instead of setting a trap to try and kill this unexpected guest, I actually started putting out food for it. And I would put out the food, and I don't know that there was anything miraculous that happened, except for the miraculous thing is there was a shift inside of me. And I actually started to see things differently. When Milo, Miracle Milo, Bhairava, and I would walk past this pack of dogs, all of a sudden they would all come out and growl and bark, and they'd surround us and they'd jump at us and their teeth were out. I actually said to the group, I was like, what do I do in this circumstance? How do I see these angry, vicious dogs as deity? They gave me so many beautiful suggestions. And one of them was to sing whenever I started walking through these pack of dogs. And so I just broke out my Bob Marley. I started singing Three Little Birds. And as I did it, it was an experiment. Okay, all of this is an experiment. You try it and you see what happens. But as I did, the dogs just melted. And now every time I walk through this pack of dogs, if they ever get, they actually don't even give us hassle anymore. But if they do, I just sing some new song. And instead of me having to threaten these dogs, like pull out a stick, threaten to hit them, which didn't feel like honoring the divine in them or in me or in Milo, but also wasn't honoring the divine when they were biting Milo, I did this experiment. Okay, so those are many stories about this concept. Now, I hope you can stay on the call for a little bit longer. I know some of you may have to leave right at the hour, but we had some technical difficulties at the beginning. I have another special guest. In this book, at the clinic of Dr. Naram, in one of the chapters, this is a little bit later on, I met one of the most beautiful people that exemplifies this, about seeing the divine in others. And he's had so many miracle experiences with Dr. Naram, not only while he was alive, but since his passing, that I just wanted to give this time for him to share from his heart, his story, and open us up to in our minds and our hearts to what is possible. So Rabbi Stephen Robbins, can you unmute yourself? Rabbi Stephen and Eva Robbins, I just wanted you to meet these beautiful people and hear their story.
Thank you, Clint. It's an honor, a privilege, and a blessing to be here. Rabbi Eva sends her regrets. She's not feeling well, so she won't be able to be here today. I first
Okay,
met
we'll have her on. We'll have her on soon. Then she's
We
so
will.
amazing.
Her singing is magnificent. I first met Dr. Naram in 2007 after my fifth near-death experience and my third catastrophic lung collapse, which left me with shingles infection damage that went from the middle of my back to the lowest part of my spine and destroyed the nerves in my skin and my muscles. So I had level 10 pain for the last 15 years that goes around from my back to the center of my belly, from my ribs to my groin. And I had gotten that in 2005. And by 2007, I could barely walk and I could hardly breathe. And I was truly debilitated and declining. A friend of mine named Deirdre Haid, who herself is a healer, connected me with Dr. Naram. I went to see him in Los Angeles, and the moment that I walked in, he stood up. His presence and mine just flowed together. And this smiling, he walked toward me with this look of surprise, shock. And he said, "You're here." And he took my hands and he said, "For the last 2 nights of my meditation, I have been told that I was responsible for healing a great healer who would be coming to me. And it was my responsibility to bring him back to life and to share our knowledge together so that he could go on healing in the world." And he said, every time the vision happened, I saw your face. And from that moment on, our paths were so profound. He said, if you do not come to India immediately, you will die soon, which certainly was no surprise. Before I left for India, my doctor ran extensive blood tests, called me the next day and said, "You must come to see me immediately." He said, "Your blood tests show me that you have a neuromuscular degenerative autoimmune condition somewhat similar to muscular dystrophy, for which I can do nothing about. It's a good thing you're going to India." And when I went to India, I was basically in a wheelchair. And when I saw Dr. Naram and he took my pulses and we did some other work together, he said, "I have a secret formula from my master that came from the ancient books, which I brought from Tibet." And he said, "I've never used it before, but I'm going to make it for you." He brought me the supplement along with all the others I was taking and the diet, primarily mung bean soup and panchakarma 2 to 3 hours a day, every day of the week for 6 weeks. And after the third week there, we took my blood tests again, and the reading of this particular blood test called a CPK, which mine was 1,357. It dropped down to 500. And by the time I got home, it was at 500. And by the time I saw my doctor, it was normal. And many other occurrences happened with him that are too many to tell here. But we established a partnership in my healing in which he shared with me his ancient secrets and asked me to share mine with him, which are based in Kabbalah. ancient Jewish wisdom, which is not simply the possession of Jews. And I come from a family of rabbinic Kabbalistic healers that goes back over 1,000 years. And and in each visit when I was there, he gave me unusual formularies that he had not tried with others, because he said I was the one to test them. One for my human growth hormone, another for a very severe kidney and adrenal problems that no one had ever been able to deal with, and the consequence of living with such constant pain, which I was, by the way, controlling with my meditations. I was not taking opioids. And by the time I went home 6 weeks later, the best thing I can tell you as a description is I was in the airport getting my luggage, and my wife walked right past me and didn't recognize me. And when I called her name, she turned around. She were here, she would tell you, she just stood in shock. She said I had lost 30 years. It looked like when we met. We've been married now for 48 years. And I continued to stay on the regimen until I had to go back in 2010. Again, things were not well. And as I went there, it was clear that my whole nervous system was simply coming apart, because my autonomic nervous system had been so impacted by the pain. I was imbalanced. I could not stand. There were times when I would lose my focus and couldn't think straight. I hadn't slept in years. And finally, he put me on another set of those supplements, the remedies, and then we worked on some Marma points. And I had been sharing with him what were correlations to Marma points through working through are called the Sphirot on the tree of life in the body. And he did Marma points with me, and he was chanting while I was doing the Kabbalistic points and my chanting, and we were doing them at the same time. And the presence of the Holy One of God shot through me in these flow of light like water, and suffused all of not just the muscles and the bones, but the cells, and even down to the molecules that were functioning in the cells, and shifted all of that function so that my cells released all of the poison that were in them and flowed back out and were restructured by the organs in my body until I could both sweat them out in a sweat box, which was incredible, as well as in the various panchakarma treatments, both on the table, in the sweating, and in the infusions in my eyes, my nose, my mouth, my ears, my anus, that got me to drain all of that poison that had been embedded in me in years of fundamental illnesses that left. And since that happened, it's now 2018, and I have had none of that recurrence again. I still take his supplements. I stick to the Ayurvedic diet as much as my wife will permit, given that she's a gourmet cook. And I live in great joy. One of the things that Naram and I shared, he talked about the role of love, and I talked about the role of gratitude. And the idea that in our word, Hebrew, the word for blessing means actually gratitude. It is the symbol of a flowing well that has no ending, and that this is the presence of the Holy One. And our prayers are not about what we want to have happen, but our statements of gratitude about what has happened. We are taught to bless the bad along with the good, so that everything that comes to us is a blessing, it is a challenge. The word for miracle in Hebrew is pronounced nes, and the word for challenge is the same word, so that each of us who are challenged are given the challenge. And when we meet the challenge in whatever way, we become the miracle. So this whole meeting that is this enormous body of souls who have come together through Clint's activities, we are surrounded by the love and the presence of Naram, who binds us all in a common community of healing. And our words here and our faces, the presence, the looks we share with each other, these are the acts of gratitude in which we inform each other that there is no end of the love, not only which he gave and still gives to us, but of the love that we very simply recognize and share with each other. And that is how healing happens. In each of my near-death experiences, and in the total of them, I have come to learn that of all of the illusions of life, that there isn't of control, which is a joke, of safety, which is also a joke, and of planning. There's a term in Yiddish, it says, man plans und Gott laughs, man plans and God laughs, is the understanding that all of us are here in order to serve whatever purpose we were given, so that the image is that the body is a shoe for the soul's foot, which means that there is only a minute portion of our soul here, and that our bodies are the expression of the soul's capacity to use us to change the world in which we live, because the world is not evil, it is not cursed, it is not horrible, it is simply unfinished. And we are the ones who are sent to help bring its completion by love, by gratitude, and by healing. In Hebrew, the word for healing, rapha, means to bind together. And the word for a sick person means an absence. And so by healing, we bind us all together. And Dr. Naram's presence, which is always with me, as it is with Clint and so many others, is the fulfillment of all of the world's wisdom, which teaches us simply that we don't make things happen. We learn to let them happen and be guided by the wisdom, by the love that flows through us, and by the gratitude that we learn to express for receiving them. The last time I saw Dr. Naram in India was in his home, having dinner with he, Smita, and Krishna, who I had earlier that day met when I didn't know him. And he was a ninja fighting all of the demons and evil people. And I said, I didn't know him. I said, "You're very angry." And he said, "I'm angry, I'm going to kill them all." And I said, "Maybe if you love them, you won't have to kill them." And I said, "Can I give you a blessing?" I put my hands on him. I gave him a blessing, which I'll share with you. And he calmed down. And I went and I met with Naram. We were in the office sharing things, and Krishna came into the office and walked behind the desk and leaned against him. And he said, "Papa, I'm not angry anymore." And Naram was very startled. And he said, "Why aren't you angry?" and he pointed at me and he said, "This man gave me a blessing and my anger left." And he said, "Now I know what you mean by love, and I should thank this man." And at that moment, Naram asked me to come to dinner at their home, which I did with he and Smita and Naram. We had a wonderful dinner, and afterwards we sat in the living room around his table, and he brought out the ancient books, which he rarely shows to people because they're kept in this hermetically sealed environment. And then when we opened the books, I said, "Anyone, anywhere?" And he said, "Whichever moves you." And I ended up opening the books to the very formula, which was the first one that turned my life around. And he smiled, he told me, and at that moment, from the books, there rose this great presence, which included his master, and it surrounded us in this glow. And we, all three of us, went into this moment of profound, I don't even have the word for it, great enlightenment, ecstasy, joy, nirvana, whatever words you want to put on it. And we were lifted together. And there was another level of healing and joy which came to me and to them. And it has been with me ever since. And it is the fundament, excuse me, it is the fundamental part of the way in which I work with people now over all these decades, doing healing, teaching, and working especially with those who have experienced death and return. Now,
I just want to show real quick, Rabbi Robbins, in the book, there's actually some pictures of those ancient manuscripts. I don't know if you can see them. And then this is a fun picture too. This is one of you and Dr. Naram from the day that I met you.
Yeah, in a meeting in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
That blessing is simply this. Yehi ratzon milfanecha, Yahweh Elohai, sheyehi esik zelanu, l'refuah shlema ki rofeh chinam ata, baruch rofeh cholim. May it be your will, Yod He Vav He, Lord Elohai, my God, that this which is done for me, for all of us, be for the sake of our complete healing. For healing comes from you as a freely given gift. Blessed is the one who heals the sick. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmarecha. May God bless you and keep you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha. May God lift up the light of his shining face and have it shine into you and fill you with grace. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. And may the Holy One lift up the divine name, its presence, and set it upon you, so that now and forever you all live in peace, in fulfillment, and most of all in health, filled with shalom, the word not meaning simply peace, but wholeness, synergy. Amen.
Ah, so beautiful. Thank you so much, Rabbi Robbins. That was so beautiful. The stories, your presence, the concept that the word for miracle is the same as word for challenge. And when we meet the challenge, we become the miracle. We become the manifestation of the divine miracle. So powerful. And I know you have so many other stories. So I want to tell everyone, we're going to have a full hour with Rabbi Robbins at some point during the 6 weeks, and you can just join. He'll share more stories, even some of the miracles that have happened since Naram's passing. But so many people, Rabbi Robbins, in the chat box are talking about, thank you for the blessing. Thank you for being this light and sharing that light with us. So beautiful. I want to go to Dr. Giovanni Brinciavalli. I don't know if you can hear Giovanni or if you're able to speak, but are you able to just speak on this concept of Aditi Devabhawa and seeing the divine you've been one of Dr. Ram's students for longer than almost anyone. And what does this principle mean in your life? Are you able to share a little bit about that? I don't know if you're
Yeah.
able to, Giovanni, or not. Oh, super.
Yeah. Hello. Namaste. Namaste. So one of the concepts that Dr. Naram was sharing and teaching with us as a students was that we have to consider any patient as an embodiment of love, an embodiment of Devi. Hello?
Oh, we can still hear you, but we lost your picture, your video for a little bit. I don't know. Maybe you keep talking and let's see, at least we can hear your voice.
Any embodiment of love, was any to consider any patient, any embodiment of love, embodiment of Devi, embodiment of God. And this was a concept that was new for me. But what is amazing and inspired me, that while I was with Dr. Naram, near him, while he was checking the pulse, while he was welcoming the patient and checking their health and listening to their problem, I was always surprised how more beautiful, how more bright, how more divine, I can say, the patient, the expression of the patient, the feeling, and their face. There was a really exchange in their expression, like through the meeting with Dr. Naram, the divinity in themselves was coming out and becoming more visible, even to me, even to, yes, just me was that we was witnessing. So this is just every time that I was near him, this was something that touched my heart and always surprised me, how the divine, how we could bring out the divinity of the patient, the divine in everybody.
So beautiful. And I want to say, Giovanni, you embody that as well. People feel it when they're with you. And that's, I think, why Dr. Ram called you one of his best students ever. One of Dr. Giovanni's patients, I said, can you describe Dr. Giovanni to me? And she's like, yeah, he's like a big heart with arms and legs attached. and he holds that space of love. I want to go, I'm not sure, Gail, if you're still on the call or not, but I want you to speak a little bit more to this point of how he would see people, the divine in them, because that's the basis of this experiment. The basis of this experiment together is for this 6 weeks, your challenge is to really live this principle of Aditi Devo Bhava, and particularly feeding dogs, feeding cows, feeding crows. And if you don't have any access to animals, one person on the last experiment saw ants crawling through her room, and so she started feeding the ants. One person started feeding the lizard. And if you still can't do that, still, there's a family here that feeds 24 street dogs every night. They're feeding 24 street dogs, and I'll give you a link, and you can support them, and I'll send you videos of the little puppies and the little street dogs that they're supporting that will die unless people are contributing. So there's these ways in which you can start to enter into this zone of Atiti Devo Bhava. Gail, are you able to just share a little bit more? And then we're going to finish up here in about 9 minutes, but I want to just anchor in this principle. And then on the next call, we're going to go over the second secret, which Rabbi Robbins touched on, which is gratitude. At the end of each night, you're going to write 3 things in your journal you're grateful for. This is the other part of the 6-week experiment, is simply you write in your journal every night 3 things you're grateful for. We're going to talk about that principle, why it's so powerful on the next call, but I want you to start that immediately. All right, Gail, are you, oh good, you're unmuted. Please share.
Well, what would you like me to show you? Want me to tell a little story about what he did with my kids and how he promised to bring us a tiger?
any reflection from your heart from this call, like anything from you that you feel like would contribute to the people that are watching this live?
Well, I think that I mean, one of the things that there's well, like about the animals and stuff, is that he and he instilled in my kids even, right? It's like, you know, we all just love everyone. And I mean, that's where we as a family come from anyway, right? And so I think it was part of how we were able to connect so instantaneously, you know, with Pankaj. But he told the kids, you know, that everything is life and life is everything, and we're all connected. So my daughter Jenna, she was, I don't know, she was pretty young, and one day we had a little farm, and so we had pigs and we had cows, but we never ate any, you know, it's like they all had names and they were just our friends. We just took care of them. And one day there was a knock on our door. It was early in the morning and I'm like, what, who? Nobody was there. And I look out the door and I look down and there's a duck banging on the door. It's just wild duck. It wasn't our duck. It was just some duck that decided to come and live with us. And I'm like, there's a duck at the door. And Jenna comes running out. She goes, oh, Mom, that's my friend. And she opens the door and scoops up this wild duck and walks in. She goes, he must be hungry. And so starts feeding him her cantaloupe in the house. This duck didn't go away. He stayed and lived on the front porch for the whole winter. We just fed this duck on the front porch, and because he was Jenna's friend. And and you know, Pankaj loved that story. And he's like, well, he was her friend. And that's why I'm getting you a baby tiger, because, you know, he was connected to these people and the tigers. And he's like, and it's going to be vegetarian and it's going to come live on your farm. And to this day, the kid's like, but Uncle Naram is supposed to be bringing us a tiger or a monkey. I'm like, no, there'll never be a monkey in the house or a tiger in the backyard. And, but I think that those lessons of compassion and caring for the people around you, for your circumstance, for the food on your table, for the people in your lives, that is something that he instills still. Like, he just always instills that. It's like, you know what? We are all in this together. You know, that's something that I say all the time. It's like, it doesn't matter. You know, I mean, it just doesn't matter. We're all in this together. And so if we're taking what we've learned from his healings and from his heart and from all of you sharing, that's the most important thing. That's it.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Gail. Thank you, Rabbi Robbins. Thank you, Dr. Giovanni. Thank you, everyone who shared. So now I want to do one thing which kind of wraps this up. And then for those who still want to stay on the call and connect with other people, I'm going to split us into breakup groups. So you can have a chance to express what insights you gained from being on this call. And what does it mean? How would you, so the question that you'll answer in the breakout group for those who stay will be this: how would it change your life to see the divine in everyone and everyone and everything that shows up, all the unexpected guests? How would it change your life if you saw more of the divine inside of yourself and inside of others? So if you need to leave the call now, I just want to say that we've established 3 things so far in this global healing experiment. One is get clear on what you want. The second is see the divine in others, this unexpected guest, and feeding animals in particular, dogs, cows, crows. And then the third is expressing gratitude. So at the end of every night in your journal, the same journal you wrote the thing that you want to write every night the 3 things you're grateful for that day. And then on the next call next week, because we didn't have time today, I'm realizing these calls are going to have to be 90 minutes because there's no way we're going to fit it in. On the next call next Sunday, we're going to share the next secret. For 3 weeks, we're going to share secrets that particularly you'll get evidence of miracles, more mystical miracles of love and healing happening in your life. And then the 3 weeks after that, we're going to shift gears and put it on a global scale and see what's possible as a result of this experiment. Okay, so again, clear on what you want, see the divine in others, specifically feeding animals. And the third is expressing gratitude every night, writing 3 things that you're grateful for. So right now we're going to have a chance to break into groups For those who need to leave, namaste. We'll see you next Sunday. In the Facebook group, you can start posting. Oh, for the Facebook group too. The purpose of the Facebook group isn't to post other events or cool things, but it's actually to post miracles that you're seeing. So in the Facebook group, you want to post miracles that you're seeing and also the things that you're grateful for. Those are very appropriate things to post in the Facebook group. And please join the group and start posting. That's where a lot of the announcements will come, but I'll email you the instructions and the recording of this call. So now for those who can stay, we're about to split into breakout groups of about three or four people per group, in which you'll have a chance to share your answer to this question. And the question is, how will life change if you see more of the divine in others and more of the divine in yourself? I'm going to click create breakout groups, and you can accept it on your screen for those who can stay. And you just click accept, and it'll put you in a group with other people, and you can discuss this question for as long until everyone's finished, and then you can just end the call, and we'll see you next Sunday. So I'm starting the breakout rooms right now. So go ahead and just accept the invitation on your screen, and it'll bring you into that breakout room where you can meet other people from around the world answering this question. How do you think your life will change when you see more of the divine in other people and in yourself? Super. So once that little notification comes up on your screen, you can just click accept. And it may take a little bit for other people to join your group as well. All right, super. Just 1 second. All right. I see some people are still in the main room. Did you see the invitation come on your screen yet? Connie, did you see it come on your screen yet? No.
I
Okay,
did.
this one.
I did. I went to a room and then the person that was in there left, so I came back.
Okay, no problem. Let's put you in another room. Fantastic. Actually, what we can do, let's see how many people are still in this main room. Still a little bit too many here. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute the people. Actually, I think I should probably, wonder if I can assign more people here. Just 1 second. Okay, just 1 second here. Hey, I'm gonna see if I can get you into another room with other people. Just 1 second. Okay, just 1 second here. We're trying to sort out some of the issues with the breakout room, but I think I got it. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna ask you who are still in the main session here. You can unmute yourself and you can introduce yourself, where you're from, and also the answer to that question. So you can start engaging right now with those who are still in this main breakout room.
Hi. My name is Elisa, and I live in London. And I guess it would help me build a better cooperation and rapport with people and new people I meet in life.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Svetlin Georgiev. I'm from Bulgaria. I miraculously joined this group after I had an idea for so long, which I put aside. It was about love. I even created some company, which was the name of this company is Love Zone. And I have a booked domain with the same name, which is lovezone.com. It was in the year 2007. So after 13 years looking for, I wanted to put a lot of love expressed by people into something which you know, this website was for this company was for this, which I created. And I even spent thousands of dollars to educate myself how to do this, some marketing programs and so on. But during this marketing program, I just shifted from love. They teach me how to search for keywords and things like that, and it somehow just changed my direction. And so after 13 years, I just I met Dr. Naram last year in Milan with my wife, and he gave me, just a moment, I will show you something. He gave me and my wife, when we were leaving the room, he gave us, each of us, something like this, which later on I put in a box like this, okay?
Yes.
I did not realize that this is a heart-shaped box that I kept next to my chair where I sometimes meditate and think about, you know, good things. And so I've been after this spiritual things and so on. And then what happened, I joined this group, 30 days miracles for, you know, of love and things like that. And then I shared, I published a video, and there were few people who commented there. And then there was a girl from Spain, you know, and then she called me and asked me, can you tell me more about your idea about love? And then I called her, and we had this private conversation. And then I took this to show her that I have met Dr. Naram. And then I realized that all this, what Dr. Naram gave me here, is in this box, which is with the shape of the heart. And then I realized this box is the box that I bought in Spain. And the girl who called me was from Spain. And that was the first girl who said, because I asked, I want to create something bigger from here. In this group, I know exactly what I want. I know how to achieve it. I now want to achieve this together with the other people. Before, I wanted to make a company, like to have it for me, to make a lot of money with this idea. But then, you know, something switched, you know, something clicked, and I didn't like to do this anymore for me. So I know exactly what I want. I know how to achieve it, because I just need more people to want the same. And I want to, how to say, to enjoy achieving it together with them. And that's why I'm here in this group. I feel like we can branch out and still, you know, get bigger and bigger and bring out the name of Dr. Naram in different ways, because this book can help a lot of people. But if we come together and create something new media, somewhere where we can connect, and it starts from here, it's like branching out and getting more and more things which can be good for all of the people around. And that's why I'm here.
That's wonderful. That's a beautiful story, and messages.
Thing, and I have another story which also somehow, I don't know, it's connected with Dr. Naram. And I wanted to another thing, you know, I was thinking, why so many people have this, you know, to-do lists and to-do notes, and there are so many of them. And one day it just came to my mind, where is this notebook where it's like to be note, you know, something where you write what you want to be. But that was before I met Dr. Naram. And when I met Dr. Naram, I heard about these 3 questions, you know, what do you want to be? And that was exactly what I wanted to make for the people. And then I even created something like a logo, and you know, something which, and I also registered another domain which is called to be note, which
It's
which
beautiful.
I have registered long time before I meet Dr. Naram, where I wanted to create something like a notebook
Yes.
with something which is like monogram, you know, something to look nice for people. And that is something also somehow related to Dr. Naram. And I don't know why, but it's so.
It looks like could be a publishing business next to that.
No. In fact, I wanted to create a book which is electronic book where all the people write what they want to be. And then if you write to what you want to be, and then if it is electronic, you can find other people who like to the same thing to be, because all of us, we want to be something, and all of us, we want something to be. And so we can work inward and outward. You know, we want something to be inward, and we want something, we want to be something that is inward.
Sure.
We want something
Yes.
to be that is outward, and we can work in both directions. And
So beautiful. I just want to say thank you. That's sharing. Now there's about maybe 20 other people in this main group. I want to make sure everyone has a chance that wants to share. So if we can keep the rest of the shares to about 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, I want you to share where you're from and how your life might change if you could see more of the divine, if you just started seeing more of the divine in others and yourself. So you can unmute yourself and introduce yourself, and we'll keep going through. But thank you for that beautiful share.
Hi, I'm Pam. I'm in San Diego, California. Grateful to be on this call. And if I could see the unexpected guest as the divine, then I think I would live in less fear day by day in whatever circumstances that come my way that are unexpected, or people who come my way, or challenges in my life, and also with myself when I have like a negative reaction or something like that. So I think I would live in less fear if I could adopt that vision or that understanding of life. Thank you. I'm so glad to be on a part of this call.
Hi, everybody. This is Deanna Simone, and there are so many things I would love to share. Is this coming through? I don't know if it is or not. Yes? Okay, good. This group is providing me the support I've needed so desperately to become who I truly am. I don't know any other way to put it, but sometimes it gets difficult when you're surrounded by people who don't understand or don't believe or whatever, to maintain what your truth is, what you know is true. So I am so grateful for each and every one of you and your sharings. One of the things I wanted to share is my gratitude journal. I have a dear friend who has a toast at the end of the day to the blessings of this day, and there were many. And I usually use that every night before I go to bed to make my gratitude list. And I'm so grateful that I'm encouraged once again, because I will skip it, by this group to do that on a regular basis. And last but not least, what it's going to change for me is, just as we're beginning this, a very difficult challenge has come into my life. Emotionally challenged. Somebody I love very dearly and is very close to is on the war path against this whole COVID thing, et cetera, so forth, with lots of conspiracy theories. And I have not done well. I'm trying to win. I'm trying to prove myself right. I'm trying to prove him wrong and trying to calm him down. And by recognizing the divine in him, I think it is going to change the dynamic completely. I don't know where it will go, but I think we can both continue to love and live in peace and in harmony together. And I think that will be something that will be reflected throughout every contact in my life. And I am grateful for all of it. I thank you so much.
Ah, that was so beautiful. I love you sharing about that journal. That makes me so happy. And I hope it's an inspiration to everyone because this can change your life.
Hello, my name
All
is
right, who's next? Super.
Travis Pierce from Boulder, Colorado, in the mountains. Super grateful to be here. Thank you, Clint. This is a wonderful group and wonderful intention. Really appreciate you. And I think along with what Diana shared there, it brought something to mind. You know, just with this COVID thing, you know, how no matter what information's being shared or what story people are getting lost in, you know, how am I be able to be grateful along the thread of today, treat everyone as the unexpected guest? You know, let's treat this whole experience as an unexpected guest. And what is this here to teach us? You know, there's everything is a mirror and there's something for us to learn in every experience being presented. And, you know, power of gratitude, to be grateful for this as a reminding tool, as a teacher, and possibly even what has brought forth this level of intention of, say, Dr. Rogers' group here. You know, there's so much that's being invoked and so much presence that we're all dropping into and sharing with each other through this. So just something that I'm aware of at this moment and grateful for all of you being here a part of this group. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. So true. This whole thing is an unexpected guest. All right, who's next? Hema, maybe? Would you like to share?
Hi, everybody. I was sharing with my partner in the breakout room. It's easy for me to love animals, but it's difficult to love all human beings. So I have to be mindful of that and I have to be conscious. Since the COVID thing started, I've been dealing with some people around me, and it's like it has been a struggle for me. But then I have to be conscious and bring in the consciousness and to be mindful and to see the light in everybody. So, and with this now, like, you know, being in this call, I will remind myself more and more and see what miracles are to come. And I've been doing the Marma technique that Krishna has showed, and people are showing up for me, like groups of people, and I'm connecting with people more and more, like in my personal life. So I've been going through a rough situation, but this time it feels like I'm supported and I see an opportunity. This is a crisis situation in my personal life, but I'm looking at it in a different way, not like, you know, in the past, like maybe a year ago, if the same thing happened to me, I would have been in a victim, you know, feeling like a victim, but I don't see that now. So that's one miracle I'm already experiencing right now. I feel like I'm seeing the opportunity that is coming from this crisis situation that I'm going through right now. And I already feel like a survivor, and, you know, in the future, I want to thrive from this. So I'm grateful for the Marma technique that I saw Krishna showing in one of the videos when all this started. And I'm grateful for Dr. Naram, and thank you, Dr. Clint, for like bringing this out and, you know, spreading this ancient secrets to more and more people. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful share. Thank you so much. All right, now who hasn't had a chance to share yet? You can just raise your hand on the screen. Jonathan, did you already get a chance to share in the breakout group? You did? Okay. Anyone else not have a chance to share? You can just raise your hand. Let's say, Joseph, you didn't get a chance to share. And Christine, you didn't get a chance to share. We'll go to YouTube first. Joseph?
Yes. See, I am from India. Hello. You want to speak, huh?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. Looks like your screen froze, Joseph. All right, we're gonna come back. We'll come back to you in just a second, Joseph. Oh, it looks like looks like he popped off the screen. Okay, we're gonna go to Christina. Did I say Christine or Christina? Can you unmute yourself? Oh, good.
Christine. Hi,
Okay.
everyone.
Hey.
I'm Christine.
Great backdrop.
Hi, I'm here in New York right now. We're stationed here in New York and most likely be moving to South Korea again in the next few months. So I think with the question, how would it change your life if we saw more of the divine in others and in you? And just like what Hema said, it's really easy to see that divinity from animals and plants, children. But when it comes to other adults, it's kind of, there's a almost like a tug of war going on. And that is very apparent to me. And then I asked that question, how can I see that divinity in them? Do I see it in me? Do I see it as clear as I should? And do I live it? Am I experiencing it every second of my life? Or am I in doubt? And could that be the reason why I don't have this an instant seeing divinity from others? So we're all humans. We all make mistakes, and we also make great things in life. But I think it's that idea that we have to be good, we have to be one part and not the other, to shy away from that maybe negative or a weakness that we have. I think it's our time now to present ourselves to our own selves as a whole. I have to love myself for who I am, good or bad. And with that, and practicing that, I am pretty sure it would change how I see others, especially the ones that irritates me, the ones that gives me problems. And I think I'm gonna practice that today. And that's
Beautiful.
it. Thank you so much.
Christine, so beautiful. Thank you so much for
Oh,
sharing.
Clint, I have to send you a message because I just experienced Dr. Naram's presence in a dream, and I'd like to share it with you if that's possible.
Oh, I would love to hear it. And if you feel comfortable to even share it with the group, I'm sure more people can benefit from it. But definitely send it to me. I would love to hear that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, Joseph, thank you so much, Christine. Joseph, we're going to go back to you and see if we can hear you this time. Can you unmute yourself?
Hello,
Yeah, we can hear you. Perfect.
you can hear me. I am from Bangalore, India, and I'm a Dr. Joseph. I have been doing this healing for the past 35 years. Lot of miracles and everything was going on. With all that, I wanted to join this group. I came to know about this Dr. Naran session. Then I wanted to mingle with the people and try to help more and more people in so many ways. That is what I wanted to learn something more from this group. But this is the first time I'm experiencing, that's why.
Oh, that's so beautiful, Joseph. I love it. How many years young are you? How old are you?
88 years.
88
years.
Dr. Ram would love you like crazy. He'd be so happy that at 88 years young, you're still learning and still growing. He says someone can be 20 years old.
That is why I wanted to improve. I wanted to improve my healing power more to the more people.
Well, you came to the right place. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad you came. Now I want to go to Josephine. Thank you so much, Joseph. So Josephine, can you unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Josephine. You don't see a picture of me because I don't have a camera. I was born in India, and I spent the first quarter of my life there. I studied, and I also is from Bangalore, Joseph. It's no synchronicity that you are the male version of me. And then the next quarter of my life, I went to the Middle East and I lived there and worked there. And it was at that point when I was reaching my age of 45 that I questioned myself. And I wanted to understand a little bit more about the universe and why we are here. And that started my journey. And I took a deep dive into myself. The experience has been mind-blowing, no pun intended, because my mind and my consciousness has indeed expanded exponentially. The third quarter of my life, I'm now in Tucson, Arizona. They say, Tucson, you don't migrate there. Tucson invites you because the state of Arizona is the zone of the Aryans. And the Aryans are originated from India. And so we are here, I'm here, and I do not know why. But I'm here with my family. I'm living here now. The items that you spoke about today is exactly that what we are all aiming towards. We are the microcosms within the macrocosm. Within us also we have trillions and trillions of microcosms, which we don't know yet. So we are already an expanded version, and within us we have trillions of those, which we call cells, and within them again. My principles, and you mentioned about animals showing up. They've been showing up at my door since the past 2 months. I have doves, eagles, bees, dogs, all kinds of animals come all during the day and the night. They mark their territory, they go, I feed them, lizards, you name it, they are here. Also, divinity expands and happens to yourself. You don't have to yearn for it, it just occurs. For example, during the COVID situation, I couldn't get access to any vegetables. The supermarkets didn't have anything. And I just thought about a particular organization that was giving out vegetables every Saturday. And I couldn't find the name of that organization. And 2 hours later, a doorbell rings and somebody dropped a load of vegetables to me because she thought I needed them. So one does not really need to go to yearn to get it. Once you are in an expanded state of consciousness, it just occurs. What I would like to leave you with is that do your best to follow a yogic lifestyle. Take care of yourself and others around you. Turning away from God and nature is what is causing this endless suffering on this planet. Nature is now trying to take over and say, hey, we are not don't try to be the master of me. Corona in English means crown, and the crown of yogic values is karuna, which is compassion. So let us turn this word that we constantly hear on the media, and every time we hear it, let's think that all it's asking us is to be compassionate. So really, we can change our own consciousness as we're listening to the media news. I want to wish you all well, and it is my pleasure to speak and be with you today.
So beautiful. Thank you, Josephine, for sharing. So beautiful. So now I want to say thank you, everyone, for joining this first call. We had an introductory call, but this is officially where the first week of this experiment, this Global Healing Miracle Experiment, is starting. And now you at least know the first 3 things. One is to discover what you want. If you have any questions about that, you can post it in the Facebook group, but it's good at least to get something on the paper. And it's not even the focus, because lots of times mystical miracles are about things you didn't even know that you wanted. You can't even predict them. That's what makes them surprising and brings such a bliss with them. but at least start by identifying what do you want for yourself, what do you want for the world, and then practice this principle of Aditi Devo Bhava. Just 1 second here. Practice this principle of Aditi Devo Bhava. And just 1 second. And especially feeding animals, dogs, cows, crows. If you don't have any specifically with you, I'll send in an email or link where you can donate to someone that I know for sure is feeding them, because I see them feeding every day. We'll send you pictures and videos of that. And then third is every night writing down 3 things that you're grateful for. So documenting those 3 things every night, starting with today. And as we do this, as you do it, I'm confident you'll see amazing things happen. But as we do it collectively, this is what the experiment is. I'm excited to see what happens as we do it together. So if you didn't have a chance to share this time, make sure you send a message and email to me through Facebook. You can send me a message if you want the introduction of the first chapter of the book, or through the email address ancientsecretsfoundation@gmail.com. Otherwise, I want to say that I love you. I'm so glad you're here. So glad to be joining with such a powerful group of people that I just want to spend time with. You know, in the leadership call, I identified there's family of origin, and then there's family of choice. And everyone on this call that I'm hearing speaking, I'm just falling in love with you. I'm just thinking, I want to be with these people. That this is like a place where we belong and where we can really do something that nourishes our soul, because there's something else that wants to be born in our lives. And there's something else that wants to be born on this planet. So thank you so much for joining on this journey, and looking forward to seeing your posts, the things you're grateful for in the Facebook group, the things that you want, and then seeing you again on next week's call to discover the next secrets that I didn't have time to share today. We didn't have time to share today, and read some more sections about how our lives can change with these ancient secrets, and how as we're changing our lives, as the microcosm, like Josephine so beautifully said, as the microcosm of the macrocosm, as we do this together, what's possible for life on Earth. Love you all. Namaste.
Love you too. Thank you very much.
Beautiful. Actually, that's a good idea. I'm going to mute everyone for a second, and you can express your love.
Love
you all.
Much, Dr. Clay. Love you. Namaste.
Bye.
Bye.
You.
Bye.
Bye.
Everyone.
Bye,
everybody.
Bye. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
It was like 100 goodbyes.
I know.
Look at you.
Habitek, 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 habitek. Schlibberdish, schlibberdish, schlibberdish.
This is a long bye.
It is.
Just bye.
He wants to leave.
My computer got froze. So
How about see you next time?
Bye.
See you next time.
Bye.
Blessings to all. Blessings.
Like numbers.
We are now all
Bye bye.
connected.
Shalom, shalom,
forever.
namaste.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Robbins. Love you. Yes.
I love you and I'm with you.
Look at all the smiley faces. Hope to meet you again next week.
The voice of those
Yeah,
lovely
right on Facebook.
children too.
This is beautiful.
Yeah, I'm just gonna wait till it ends. It's nice hearing everyone's voices. It really is.
There might be no end if we keep up like this.
Bye bye.
Yeah.
We'll stay here until next week.
Right.
That's a
Don't worry,
great
don't worry,
idea.
Callie.
Excuse me, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Let's see, where's that? Miss Callie. No, Miss Callie, I'm gonna send you all the links. I promise. I promise I'll send all the links because it's very important. It's very nice that you watch them all. Naram is on a roll when he's telling these stories.
Thank you.
Oh. See you next week.
See you next week, guys.
Okay. Too bad it's next week. You know, it was better tomorrow.
Every Sunday, 6
I'm trying to see if Dr. Clint can actually end this. I'm waiting for this to finish.
You guys are going to terrorize.
There he is.
In the year we are the same. Mine is in second grade, man.
We don't give up
Same. Mine is in second grade. Nah, you're still ahead of me by 2 years. Mine is just in second grade.
So Clint actually listed Audrey.
Somebody else school on there, guys.
Yeah. True.
Heard a little tiny voice. I love you and I'm with you.
So no, guys, Clint actually listed a link for Dr. Naram's teachings of minor points. If you
कपड़े बनाने लग जाओ अभी से for the wedding. Because when you live, when you live, I do that. अभी तो virtual शादी होगी, but when you live abroad ना, तो फिर सबसे बड़ी टेंशन होती है कि Indian clothes क्या पहनोगे wedding पे. So you plan like a year ahead. कपड़े बना के बैठे वो शादी ना करे फिर. चल ठीक है, another one in the thing यार, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Women are, it's never less clothes for women, right? हमेशा कम पड़ जाते हैं, so why not? How are things in Delhi? How are things in Delhi with this quarantine? Is it pretty strict? And your city? All over India, all over India. Wow. Senior citizen.
All right. Whoever's still left on the call, I'm still trying to figure out how to end it, but you can feel free to leave because I think there's a lot of background noise. I just love you.
You got this, Clint. You got it.
Oh, here we go. Now I got it.
There you go.
Lots
There
of
you go.
love to you. See you next Sunday.